I love these huge geoglyphs. There's examples of earthworks like this around the world, and I think they are so captivating for us today. This geoglyph, or an image that has been carved into the earth, is near a pre-Columbian Andean site in South America. And we're looking at a map. So this is a pre-Inca site as well, not just before Columbus, but before the Inca Empire. And we are looking, let's see, you guys, can I find this on the map here? It's not listed on this map, but we're kind of looking in the northern Inca territory at the site of the Nazca Plain. And of course, it's easy to let the imagination run wild here. We look at something like this that's huge, and really we can only see from an aerial view, which of course would have been impossible for this early culture. So we might say, well, it's the work of aliens. But of course, that theory is baseless. I don't want anybody to think that anything we've seen in class this semester is done by aliens. It's all human culture. The lines consist, there's different glyphs here, including the hummingbird that we see here. There's one of a monkey, a snake, a dolphin, and they are made out of straight lines that run parallel and then converge and intersect at different points. These lines are thought to trace the direction of underground water sources, and the figural geoglyphs became important sites of pilgrimage. This hummingbird, as I said, is enormous. It's 300 feet long. And geoglyphs seem to be made from one continuous line in which the topsoil is scratched away to reveal the white stone underneath. It's amazing to think about that, kind of tracing one continuous line to create this huge figure. How would you keep the lines straight? How would you keep them parallel? There's so many questions here. All right, let's skip ahead to the Inca. And of course, this is the most famous Inca site. This is the royal mountain retreat high in the Andes Mountains of Machu Picchu. It was built as a royal estate for the first Inca emperor. Let me try and pronounce his name here. Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui. It was built in the middle of the 15th century on a mountain saddle, so kind of this high valley in between two mountains. The location was approximately a 3 days walk from the Inca capital of Cusco and nearly 3,000 feet lower in elevation than Cusco. This is actually at 8,000 feet. The city of Cusco is at about 10,000 feet. And it was intended as a place where the Inca emperor and his family could host feasts, perform religious ceremonies, and administer the affairs of the empire while also establishing a claim to land that could be owned by his lineage after his death. The site contains housing for elites, their enormous maintenance staff, and contains religious shrines, fountains, terraces, and we're going to look at a few key elements here, starting with these terraces. And I think that photograph on the right gives us a really good sense of that. Terraces were a common element of highland agriculture long before the Inca, and it's a really ingenious way of increasing the arable land surface and reducing erosion by creating these walled steps down the sides of a steep mountain. Each step then could be planted with crops. The terracing took advantage of the landscape and provided some sustenance for the emperor and his entourage, and they also produced the ritually important maize or corn crops. There's also an elaborate system of water management. This was crucial. We see on the left here a system of stone channels that drained the water from rainfall and from a spring near the site. Some water was channeled to fountains throughout Machu Picchu, and some of them, yeah, just kind of help to channel the water. Of course, the emperor, his compound was at the top, so he got the freshest water of Machu Picchu. The main building. Let's see here. Let's stay on this slide. The construction of the main building included walls that were built of stone, and these stones were individually shaped to fit closely with one another, rather than being shaped into kind of an individual unit that could be easily stacked. This was accomplished by a laborious process of pecking at the stones with tools and then gradually shaping them so they could perfectly fit into each other. Each stone had some sides that protruded slightly and some with concave faces, so you were able to kind of socket the stones, and this allowed for a key feature high in the Andes. That is, it's kind of an earthquake dampening movement that allows for a little bit of wiggle room in this seismically active region. We see some of the typical features of those stone walls here with those precisely fitted stones, and the trapezoid-shaped windows are another important feature as well. Now, I said the natural world, the images of nature in the natural realm, but here we do also see scientific practice as well. This is the observatory that was adjacent to the royal residence, and it emphasizes to us the relationship between the elites, religious ritual, and astronomical observation, including Pachacuti's claim, that first Inca emperor, his claim as both the descendant of the sun and as the sun himself. The observatory actually has been also referred to as the Temple of the Sun. It has two main shapes that we see here. This upper curved stone enclosure that we see here, with windows and niches placed in it, and then below it is a cave with masonry and additions that had more niches. It's believed that this observatory was where they calculated the June solstice and the path of important constellations. Another key part of Machu Picchu here is the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun. This is a carved boulder located in the ritual area of the site to the west of the main plaza. Carved boulders were a part of the Inca relationship with the earth and nature, and expressions of belief in a landscape that inhabited supernatural forces, that nature had supernatural power residing in it. And the stone's name refers to the idea that it was used to track the passage of the sun throughout the year, part of the reckoning of time used to determine when religious events would take place. So it kind of has a similar function to the observatory. All right, let's look at this fascinating artifact here. This is a sculpture. This is a metal sculpture of a corn cob, a maize cob. And what we know from a lot of Spanish sources and the Spanish imperialist forces who arrived in the Inca Empire is that there were gardens of miniature llamas, corn, flowers, and people, all made of gold and silver. And one of the most famous ones existed in the courtyard of one of the most important Inca temples in the capital city of Cusco. One of these beautiful metal objects is a gold-silver ally corn cob sculpture, the one that we see here. And it so naturalistically mimics the appearance of a ripe ear of corn breaking through its husk, ready to be harvested. Inca metalsmiths expertly combined silver and copper to mimic the internal and external components of actual corn. These are not solid metal sculptures, but they're actually hollow and carefully textured and shaped to realistically mimic corn. Here's an example of one of the llamas, an important animal in the Inca Empire, an important animal in the Andes today as well, that would have been included in these kind of symbolic gardens. All right, we're going to turn a little bit closer to home too. I hope that some of you might be even familiar with some of these ancestral Puebloan sites that we're going to talk about. In particular, we're going to focus on Mesa Verde in southwestern Colorado. But I'm going to stop this and I'm just going to finish up with a final short video on the ancestral Puebloan culture.